From the beginning, some stories seem destined to deeply affect us, as if they carry within them a painful truth about love, loss, and loyalty that we don't always find in humans. And today, even before you know all the details, I want you to imagine something simple, yet devastating. A dog sitting in the same place day after day, gazing at the horizon as if waiting for someone who never returned. This image alone is enough to stir any heart, but it's only the beginning of Bruno and Miguel's story. Bruno was a medium-sized dog, the kind that wins people over not only with his sweet gaze, but with a demeanor that seems to say, "I'm with you, no matter what happens." Miguel, his owner, was a young worker, one of those who face life as it is, hard, hectic, full of obligations, but who always found time for his loyal friend. Their relationship wasn't just that of owner and pet. It was a true, almost spiritual friendship, capable of brightening even the heaviest days. Every morning began the same way. Miguel would wake up early, put the blue collar on Bruno, and the two would walk together through the neighborhood. Their steps were light, full of routine, but also laden with silent meaning. Along the way, Miguel would always talk to the dog as if he were conversing with an old friend, sharing his plans, his fears, his hopes, and Bruno would listen, always listen. His tail would wag in sync with his owner's voice, as if he understood every word, every pause, every emotion. After the walk, it was playtime. The small backyard seemed to transform into an open field whenever Bruno chased after the ball Miguel threw. The two laughed, had fun, and for a few minutes the world outside ceased to exist. It was there that the bond grew stronger every day, in simplicity, in repetition, in the constancy of a love that didn't need explaining. But there is something that animals understand in a way that we humans sometimes forget: the power of unspoken promises. Bruno knew, even without words, that Miguel was the center of his life. And Miguel, perhaps without realizing it, had taught the dog to wait for him, to trust him, to believe that there would always be a reunion at the end of the day. It was a promise that neither of them had said aloud, but that lived in small actions, in everyday gestures, in the eyes that sought each other whenever one of them was apart. And then that day came. A day that began like any other, but didn't end that way. But now, at this point in the story, you don't need to know exactly what happened, and perhaps you're not even ready to hear it all at once. What's important for now is to understand the strength of this love, this deep connection, this routine that seemed eternal. Because it's precisely when we believe something will last forever that life shows its most real, rawest, most unexpected face. What Bruno didn't yet know was that the silent promise he had always kept, waiting for his human, was about to be tested in a way that no heart, not even the most faithful, should ever face. And it is at this point, in this growing tension, that our story deepens even further, because the destiny of both of them was about to change forever. And while Bruno remained there, living that routine which for him was synonymous with security, something began to change around him. A silent, almost imperceptible movement, approaching like a shadow hidden behind ordinary days. Miguel felt a different weight that morning, a strange sensation, as if the world were about to pull the rug out from under his feet. But he didn't say anything. He didn't want to worry anyone, not even Bruno. After all, who imagines that a simple day could carry within it the power to crumble everything? Bruno, however, always understood more than Miguel imagined. The dog's eyes followed his owner's every step, as if trying to decipher something in the air, some sign that would explain that silent restlessness. And even without understanding, Bruno came closer than usual that morning. He touched his snout to Miguel's hand, as if to say, "I'm here." This kind of love, pure, simple, loyal, is what makes a story like this so deeply touching. Because deep down, we've all loved someone like that, someone we don't want to lose. And as this story unfolds, before the turning point arrives, I need to ask you something important. Here on this channel, every story of love, loss, and overcoming adversity between humans and animals only exists because you are on the other side of the screen, feeling, reflecting, and helping to build a community that believes animals have real emotions, real stories, and scars that deserve to be told. Therefore, if you also believe that these stories need to continue being shown, if you believe that we can transform pain into awareness, emotion into compassion, and sad stories into real change, leave the phrase, "I want change," in the comments. This is not just a phrase, it's a movement. Each of your comments helps this video reach more people and shows that you are part of this fight for respect, care, and true love for animals. And while you're at it, like this video. This simple click helps YouTube deliver more stories like this to those who need to hear them. And if you're not already subscribed, subscribe now. With each new subscription, this community grows and gains strength. Together, we are building a space where stories like Bruno and Miguel's are never forgotten. Because, believe me, what's about to happen will deeply affect you. And when we reach the most intense moment of this story, you'll understand why it's so important that more people know about this reality, this pain, this loyalty that surpasses any human explanation. And as Bruno sat for the last time by the gate, wagging his tail with his usual hope, without imagining what fate had already decided, we moved on to the next part, where everything changes. For him, for Miguel, and perhaps for you too. When Miguel left the house that morning, Bruno sensed something different in the air. It wasn't just the silent unease of the previous days. It was as if the world had held its breath for a moment, waiting for something no one was prepared to face. Miguel stroked the dog's head, this time lingering a little longer, almost like a silent embrace carrying a hidden weight. Bruno looked at him with that look only dogs have. A look that sees beyond the surface, that perceives pain that even the person can't admit to themselves. And yet, Miguel smiled, trying to hide any shadow. He left hurriedly, promising to return early, and Bruno remained there, sitting with the innocent certainty that nothing would be different that day. Time passed slowly. Morning turned to afternoon, the afternoon grew dark, and the gate remained closed. Bruno walked from the yard to the gate countless times, as if each trip were a desperate attempt to hasten his destiny. He rested his paws on the fence, peered at the street, recognized every sound, every step, every passing engine, but none of them were Miguel. And as night fell, bringing a heavy silence, Bruno remained there motionless, his hope intact. The love of animals doesn't break easily. It doesn't understand absences. It doesn't understand delays. It doesn't understand that sometimes the world is too cruel to those who don't deserve it. The next day, even before sunrise, Bruno was already up. The blue collar still hung in the corner, as if a reminder that the two had a life together, a routine that now seemed so distant. He went to the gate again, with the same faith as the day before, without realizing that he was beginning a cycle of waiting that would mark his history forever. The neighbors began to notice. Some tried to keep him away, taking him inside, offering him food, trying to distract him with affection. But Bruno always returned to the same place, as if the last trace of Miguel's scent remained there, the last promise of reunion. The following days were relentless. The sun beat down in the mornings, making the ground too hot for his paws, but he remained there. When the rain came, soaking his fur, weighing down his body, running down like tears he didn't know how to cry, Bruno would only retreat a little under the small eaves, but he never left completely. The cold night wind seemed to pierce his body, but he wouldn't budge. He had a mission, a loyalty that only someone who truly loves could bear. And so the days turned into weeks, and the weeks began to blur into one another, as if time had lost its meaning. For Bruno, there was only one truth. Miguel had promised to return, and Bruno believed in that promise with all his heart. The neighbors began to talk amongst themselves, always with a lump in their throats. They saw hope slowly turning into longing, but Bruno didn't see it. He only saw the street, the gate, the horizon, hoping that at some point the familiar silhouette would appear. And the more time passed, the more painful that scene became. The loneliness, the involuntary abandonment, the loyalty that pierced his chest. All of this shaped the story of a dog who didn't know how to give up. But what he didn't know, what no one dared to tell him, was that Miguel would never return through that gate. And before continuing this final part of Bruno's journey, I want to ask you something important. If this story is touching you, if you feel that these true stories need to reach more people, comment below, "I feel his pain," or "I will never abandon an animal." Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps this message reach where it needs to go and helps this community grow. Now, take a deep breath. There's still much to be said about what Bruno faced from here on out. The days continued to drag on, and Bruno was no longer the same energetic dog who used to chase the ball in the yard. Time seemed to have exacted too high a price from a heart that only knew how to love and wait. His once shiny fur was now dull, clinging to his body from the cold wind and the rain that insisted on falling on the longest nights. Every dawn, Bruno would huddle beside the gate, trying to warm himself, trembling not only from the cold, but from the absence that weighed like a constant shadow. Even so, his eyes remained fixed on the street, always alert, always full of a hope that seemed indestructible. The neighbors grew even more worried when they noticed that Bruno hadn't been eating properly for some time. He would only accept food to avoid fainting, but would soon return to the gate as if afraid of losing, even for a few seconds, the chance to see Miguel again. There was a tragic sweetness in that gesture, a silent love that surpassed any human explanation. The children on the street would stop to watch, some asking why the sad dog stayed there all day. And no matter how hard they tried to explain, no one could put into words the strength of the loyalty that kept Bruno in that same place day after day, without ever losing faith. It was on a particularly cold morning that Donna Helena, the nearest neighbor, noticed something was different. Bruno didn't get up when she approached with his food bowl. He remained lying down, his head resting on the ground, his eyes fixed on the same spot where he always expected to see Miguel appear. When she called his name, the dog only moved the tip of his tail, a weak, almost symbolic movement, but one that still carried the same love as always. Helena bent down, stroked his head, and felt his cold body, too fragile for a dog that had once been so full of life. It was as if Bruno was slowly fading away, but without abandoning his last hope. Neighbors began to gather around the gate. Some spoke softly, others tried to help him, but Bruno seemed to have already decided that his place was there. His weakened body breathed with difficulty, each breath heavier than the last, and yet his eyes remained open, stubbornly searching for the face he would never see again. His expression said it all. He still hoped, he still believed, he still loved. And as the sun began to rise, timid and pale, casting a soft light upon the gate, Bruno finally let out his last breath. It was silent, peaceful, almost as if he had simply fallen asleep, but those who were there knew that this was no simple rest. It was the final farewell of a heart that had loved until it could no longer. Bruno departed exactly where he had always been. In the last place he saw Miguel, fulfilling to the end the silent promise he had carried throughout his life. And at that instant, the entire street seemed to fall silent in respect for that scene. It was impossible not to feel a lump in one's throat upon realizing that there was there a love so pure that it had withstood time, pain, and absence. Before we move on to the next part, where we'll reflect on everything this story represents, I want to ask something special. If this story touched you, if you believe that a love like Bruno's deserves to be remembered, comment below, "Love that never dies," or "Bruno lives on in us." And this greatly helps the video reach more people, strengthens our community, and shows that you are also part of this movement for respect and loyalty to animals. Your comment, your like, and your subscription give life to stories like this. And believe me, we still have much to reflect on together about what all this means.